Hi, everyone. Welcome to Clientology Daily Insights. As always, I am your host, Jeff Bourgeois. And as you can see, I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt. Surprise. I get asked that a lot. And yes, it is true. I only own Hawaiian shirts as a shirt material. Technically, I guess I have a few t shirts. And to be truthful, I actually own two golf shirts. So people ask me that all the time. Just wanted to share that. Today, what we're looking for is like minded individuals to join our community. If you'd like to join, you can either go to the link, click it in the show notes, or you can scan the QR code. It's just a group of people who love serving their clients, business to business space. We hang out on LinkedIn, we share ideas, thoughts. No pressure to join. If you think it'll fit, welcome. All right, today, as I said, I get a lot of questions and I can't keep up trying to answer them one to one. So, what I'm doing is I'm building a library of questions. And this may feel like a statement, but it is a question, I promise. So, the biggest one I hear a lot is people say, yes, but, yeah, but, Jeff, I love your stuff, but I don't know anyone. Jeff, I'd love to write a book, but I don't know anyone. Jeff, I'd like to do podcast, but I don't know anyone. Jeff, I'd like to run a mastermind, but I don't know anyone. Jeff, I'd like to grow my business, but I don't know anyone. You can see how that feels like a statement, but it's actually a question. And so my answer is usually, I'm not kidding. Really, do you live under a rock? And the reason I say that is we all know someone. If we're functioning human beings who have lives, we encounter people in our day, whether it's the people who serve us coffee, people who clean our offices, clean our houses, people who water our grass. We know people. We're social creatures. So, literally, unless you're the Unabomber who lived in a cabin and blew things up, I'm going to guess that you do, in fact, know people. So I'm going to address that. This might be a slightly longer video, might be a little more ranty, but the honest truth is I am sick and tired of people struggling when the answers are right there in front of them. So I'm going to dispel a couple of myths. The number one myth is you need to know a whole bunch of people to be successful. I'm going to actually show you how 12 relationships can change a business. If you really want to get fancy, 36, but that's the key to what I do. Nothing is bulk, nothing is about scale. It's all about authentic human relationships and building those authentic relationships. So, the first thing I see when somebody tells me they don't know who they serve or they can't find anyone, number one, they're chasing a imperfect or unclear target. So the number one thing I would say to people is rather than trying to find your client one by one, think about who you actually need to know. That's the key strategic partners who also work with your clients in bulk. And the secret is 12 relationships with key strategic partners will go a lot further than any paid advertising, cold emails, cold calling, because as a business, you're meeting people who are being introduced to you in a warm setting. You're more likely to turn them into clients than if you're cold calling. So, again, I'm not picking on the cold callers. I'm just saying there's a better, easier way. Now, the third point is, are you focused on adding value? Are you giving, being a go giver, or are you just out to close the deal at any cost and you're taking? And the reality is, those who are just focused on closing deals, they tend to spend most of their lives chasing deals. Those who find ways to add value will get paid what they're worth. So, personally, I believe in adding value. Now, point four, if you don't know who you serve, don't even bother listening to anything else I do. Just sit down and ask yourself, who do you serve? And by the way, if the answer is everyone, I can assure you it's no one. Because if your message is so broad and so generic, you're not going to get people coming back saying, that's me, I'd like to work with you. So you need to be really clear on who you serve. Now, number five, a lot of people say, oh, I can help anyone anywhere. And I think COVID has spread that like a virus, pardon the expression. But the reality is there is an ideal geography where you are located, where you're physically present, because you can test things. Think of it as your testing ground. And once you've got it really locked in your one geography, you test things, you can then scale it to other geographies. But if you're not successful in one geography, you're not going to be successful in many. And number six, if you don't know what problems your perfect prospects have, you're going to be struggling, because you're going to be sitting there thinking, okay, I need to be clever. I need to write ads that convert. I need to find copy. The reality is, if you genuinely solve the most important problems they have, they will come to you looking for your solution. Yes, you need to get the word out, but the reality is, if you find a big problem that everyone in your geography, everyone in your ideal client persona have, they will find you, I promise. And here's the key: most people try to solve superficial problems, hangnail pain. It's minor, it's annoying, but I'd like it to go away. Whereas if you can find, pardon the goriness, but the gaping neck wound where they're bleeding out, if you can find that major problem, they will flock to you looking for your solution. So stop being superficial, dive deep. And by the way, if you don't know any of this stuff, pick your 10 best clients, the ones you've worked with for the longest, the one who pays you the most, and ask them why they work with you. You can do a little workshop with them, you could buy them lunch, you can do whatever you want, but the answers right from them, from their mouths, in their language, that becomes the story you need to share with the world, not what you think it should be. So if you don't talk to your clients regularly, make a point of it. Now, number seven, and I will show you all of this in practical stuff here. Number seven, ask yourself where your dream clients congregate. There is a place, and if they don't already do this, you're looking at a really lean market. But I guarantee you that your dream clients hang out together somewhere. I don't care what industry you are, what problems you solve, your ideal clients, your perfect prospects, they congregate somewhere. Just as a really extreme example, pick a religion on the planet, they congregate somewhere. Pick a nonprofit, they congregate somewhere. Pick a charity, they congregate somewhere. Pick a business, pick a following. As an example, if somebody loves Shania Twain, you pretty good chance you'll find them at a Shania Twain concert. If you sell something related to heavy metal, don't go to the Shania Twain concert. By the way, if you don't know who Shania Twain is, Google it. I appreciate that we need to spread the Canadian message of music. And number eight, and this is the most important piece: how can you add value to the people that help your perfect prospects congregate? So a lot of people chase one prospect at a time. They're saying, hey, you, come here. What you want to do is find the people who arrange and bring these people together, and figure out how you can add value to them. One of the secrets, for example, if I was looking for people who love eating in a Mexican restaurant, there's probably a problem I can solve for the Mexican restaurant, so that they'd let me talk to the people in their audience. Again, I say that just because I want crazy, wild examples. If I, for example, want to work with trades like plumbers, carpenters, they all congregate at hardware stores. Well, here's a secret: the hardware stores, even the big chains, their number one mission is, how do we sell more stuff? So if you can find a way to help a hardware store sell more stuff to plumbers, guess what? They'll introduce you to their plumbers. So think about serving people, think about adding value. Now, I'm going to share a couple of practical things. Like I said, this might be a little longer, but I promise it'll be worth it. So, first things first, I talk a lot about the key strategic partner plan. I have a book on the subject. And basically, the idea is really, really simple. You find the 11 people who also arrange congregations of your dream clients. Now, if you're counting, there's 12. So your category is always number one. You are always the first in this category. And then what you want to find is the other 11 categories where your dream client congregates. And I don't mean that literally, they're not necessarily coming together. But if you're a business coach who wants to work with businesses, one example would be commercial realtors, commercial lawyers, commercial insurance people, accountants. Put those people on the list. And here's the secret: your industry is always the first category, and you are always the first contact. So if you're just looking to grow a little bit, you fill in the 11 people that you already know, like, and trust, or as many as you can. And by the way, I like to print this out and do it. You can just create your own. Um, do it manually. And if you have any gaps, reach out to the other people on the list and say, hey, so and so, I'm looking to build my network. You're part of it. I appreciate you. Do you know anybody in this business category that gets a lot of referrals, their clients love, and that would be someone you would trust enough to introduce to your clients? And what you do with that is you use your network to fill your network. I'm not going to get into the other columns, but the reality is you can add a lot of value just by saying to your clients and your prospects, here are 11 other businesses I trust. If you need this work, go see that person. If you're looking for a new space, go talk to this commercial realtor. Um, your This sheet becomes the most valuable thing on the planet to you. Now, here's where you can add some enormous value. Is you can reach out to people. So I talked about finding ways to add value to the people that facilitate the congregation. A really, really practical example would be, again, if we're looking to talk to accountants. Accountants have lots and lots of business clients. They're really good referral partners if you're willing to be authentic, if you're willing to build a relationship, and you're willing to be reciprocal when it comes to referrals. If you're a taker, don't bug accountants. They've got a really strong radar. They will spot you a mile away. But if you were looking to work with accountants, I'm going to share um, my little strategy that works like a charm. And so your keywords, I'm a Google person, so I'm going to say you're going to Google this. You want to Google the industry name that you're working with, the geography you want to focus on. The biggest I would ever go is state. Ideally, you may want to do city. So you're going to do industry, geography, and then you're going to use 4 search terms. One is organization, one is conference, one is expo, and one is association. So we'll do those 4 together, and you're going to do this, and I'm going to show you why and how in a second. So if, for example, you wanted to reach restaurants in Cleveland, Ohio, so we put restaurant Cleveland organization. Okay, so there is a downtown Cleveland alliance. There is a restaurant fundraiser. Now, by the way, this is very, very, very specific. You might go out a level to Ohio. So, for example, let's do Ohio. And you can see there is an Ohio Restaurant Association. And if you're looking to work with restaurants, as an example, spend a little money, join the associations they're part of, join the groups where they hang out, be part of their community. And rather than preying on them and thinking, how do I get them as a client, get to know them and think about, how can I serve them? How can I help them? So one step in, we found the Ohio State organization, which deals with restaurants. And the important thing you want to look at is the website, and you want to identify who the sponsors are, and you want to look at the events that they have. So these are events where you're going to send somebody, or you're going to be. Let's just look at the upcoming events. So this particular one, look at this. They have a whole bunch of events you can attend. If you want to serve restaurants in Ohio, this is a good place to be. Now, the other thing is you want to look at what membership looks like. How can you be a benefit? A lot of these sites, if you become a member, they'll actually share, give you access to their membership list. But as you can see, this one, they do some advocacy. It shares what kind of events and communication they have. These are some contacts you could reach out to see about sponsoring. I'm a huge fan. If somebody serves my ideal audience, shell out the money and join their programs, be part of it. Now, the other thing I look for, and this applies to associations, everything that you can think of, is I want to look at their vendor programs in this case, or their sponsorship. And here's a secret: when you go to the sites, most of the time, if you look at sponsorship, they will tell you who their other sponsors are. Now, this one doesn't, but I think there's some links to this you can connect with. Oh, here you go. This is a beautiful thing. If you're a member, you actually get access to their membership directory. So why wouldn't you sponsor them? Why wouldn't you pay for them? And by the way, don't be sneaky. Don't try to hide and say, "Oh, I own a restaurant," but really you're just there to prey on them. They will notice. You don't want to be that person. You're a giver, not a taker. So this was the association, I think it was. Organization. Okay. Next one is, let's say, conference. Ohio conference. There we go. Okay, and like I said, you can do conference, you can do expo, whatever the industry jargon is for their events. Just do a little bit of search. And here's what I like to do. Again, I want to see who the sponsors are. And I am not recommending that you spend a whole bunch of money. Start by getting to know the organization. Go to their big events, be a participant. But if you're looking to launch something in a community that's nowhere near you, what you can do is find out who their sponsors are, go over to LinkedIn, search the company page, and under employees, look for people who have roles like event coordinator, business development, head of sales. They'll usually be pretty friendly. Send them a quick message saying, "Hey, so and so, I see that your company sponsored the Mid America Restaurant Expo. I just like to ask a few questions about your experience. Would you be open to connecting?" And then you can say, would you sponsor them again? What did you like about the event? How many people did you get? Is it an event that you'd recommend? It's okay to ask those questions, and most of the time they'll be pretty open about it. Now, the other thing you can see, you want to attend. I always attend as a guest first because I want to see, is it a vibrant community? Is it, just a few people? But the reality is, I can learn more about an audience, a community, by sitting in the audience with them than I ever will sitting in the vendor hall. So before you spend any money to sponsor something, ask if you could attend first. Now, just for the record, a lot of events are annual, so this is a patience play. But if you're not patient, then you can ask to speak to other sponsors. The other thing I'd like to do is, and I don't even know where to find it on here, but I like to find out who the organizers are and I connect with them. So, for example, if this listed an organizer, and I'm guessing if we look here, there's probably a reach out to somebody. There you go. Look at that. So don't everybody email poor Melissa. But the reality is her contact details are here because she wants to talk to people. Somewhere on this site. Okay, so they have an exhibitor list. Again, this is a list of people you could reach out to and ask their experiences. There's going to be contact details here. Here's how to book a space. Somewhere on here. Oh, by the way, other speakers, great people to know. Connect with them on LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever you are. and say, hey, I see that you spoke at the expo. Would you do it again? What did you like? Etc. Um, but again, you want to connect with as many people in this space as possible. And I like people who talk about trends. So if I was in the restaurant business, Heather would probably be somebody I'd follow on social media, connect with. These are great people to get you started. And somewhere on this site, I would bet they list the executive or the organization people. Again, you want to connect with the people who are in charge of booking speakers. And if you can't find them, it's okay to reach out to some of these people and say, hey, who would I talk to about speaking at that? And then again, this is about adding value. If somebody organizes speakers, if you have a book or if you have a presentation you do, send them a message on whatever connection. If they have their email, they have a phone number, social media, send them a copy of your stuff and say, I'm open to speaking. I was wondering if you had any interest in speakers that talk about this topic. That is my secret. So if you literally genuinely don't know somebody in an area, let's say you're starting out brand new, that is my secret. So again, you're going to pick the geography, the industry, and then you're going to pick the 4 words, either association, organization, conference, or expo. Tailor it, keep researching until you find. But the thing I've found over and over is that event websites are golden because it shows me all of the people I need to connect with and partner with. And by the way, if you wanted to really reach the restaurant industry, as an example, here's an example of the people who congregate, how you can add value. I'm going to guess that all of these people on this page spoke at this conference because they were hoping to get some exposure. One of the magical things you could do is if you had a podcast, let's say you're starting from scratch, you didn't know anybody in an area, you wanted to expand into that area, I would personally reach out to every one of these speakers and every one of the sponsors and interview them to be on a podcast. By interviewing them, and again, if they say, well, who does it reach? How big is the podcast? The reality is, you can say it's a brand new podcast. Here's what we're targeting. Here's who we've asked to speak. It's about the exposure because these speakers, that's what they're looking for. They're looking to be in front of people. I'm going to guess, I haven't Googled anyone, but I'm going to guess that each one of these speakers has something they're looking to monetize. So if you put them on a podcast, most of them will do it for free. You're creating content that's useful to your existing clients, but you're also making it easier for them to share you with other people. So that's a little bit of a longer conversation. I hope it gives you some insight, but please don't let the I don't know anyone hold you back or stop you. There are so many ways you can leverage a brand new network, or you can deliberately and intentionally build one. The secret is you need to just start.